And the Conservatives also have some people attending the Liberal convention in observation kind of role, and that delegate is Dimitri Soudas. He's a spokesman for Prime Minister Stephen Harper. Mr. Soudas, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jacqueline.
So you're observing, are you?
Observing, although observing is quite the challenge at this convention. There was speculation, or the Liberals had promised that there'd be about 10,000 delegates. I'm not sure if there's about 15 or 2,000 of them. And given the beautiful weather here in British Columbia, I think half of them are out playing golf today.
Well, it's still early, so perhaps, the seats behind you will be filling up. And as you know, the Liberals are, they're gaining in the polls. They have that continued momentum. Their popularity is rising in Quebec. And as you heard Mr. Ignatieff, I'm sure, say yesterday, he's thanking Mr. Harper's party and Mr. Harper personally for his own gaining popularity. It sounds like they're rubbing a little salt in your wounds, given these latest polls. What do you make of that?
Well, I think the main thing that Mr. Ignatieff has to be thankful for is the fact that Prime Minister Harper and the Conservative government actually have a plan to make it through this global economic recession. A lot of the Liberal delegates here are wondering in the halls, the ones that aren't playing golf, of course, are wondering in the halls, wondering what their leader stands for. They're wondering what are the policy ideas. Aside from raising taxes, thus far Mr. Ignatieff hasn't put much meat around the bone in terms of Liberal policy. So we definitely hope he'll take the opportunity at this convention to put forward some of his other proposals aside from raising taxes.
But despite the criticism that you just laid out, the fact is recent polls show the Liberals are rising in popularity. And, Mr. Ignatieff's team say it's because Mr. Harper is someone who divides. They accuse him of mishandling the economy, and they say this is why Canadians are turning to the Liberals instead. What do you make of that?
Well, on one hand, Liberals want to focus on polls. They want to focus on partisan politics. So be it. In terms of the economy, it's quite rich that Mr. Ignatieff would provide criticism in terms of what the government is actually doing, implementing its action plan, and making sure that investments flow into the economy as soon as possible in order to start stimulating, but also recover from the global economic recession. Having said that, on one hand, the Liberals are criticizing the government for spending too much, and on the other hand, they're asking for more spending. So it's very unclear in terms of what they would do, what policies they have. We actually crave the opportunity to hear them out.
Okay, so as you pointed out, you're not a real fan of polls. You prefer not to focus on that. So let me ask you about what you think of Mr. Chrétien, who's set to, address the crowd there. And we understand, the word is that he's going to take direct aim at Stephen Harper and make some fun of Ari Fleischer, Mike McCurry being hired at $24,000 each, or whatever the sum was, to lobby on Canada's behalf. Are you worried that Mr. Chrétien may do some damage to Mr. Harper? I mean, he was very popular in terms of the polls at the time, no?
Well, I think the key word in your question was. Mr. Chrétien was Prime Minister of Canada. He'll deliver a speech tonight at the Liberal convention. He's a very charismatic politician.
Are you worried, though? Are you worried?
Well,
you say he's charismatic. Could he do some damage?
The leader of the Liberal Party is Michael Ignatieff. I don't think Jean Chrétien is planning any return to politics, although he muses about it once in a while. Having said that, to the specifics on former White House press secretaries working with the government, this is not a novelty. Liberal governments in the past have engaged in similar opportunities, and at the end of the day, this is about Canada. This is about Canada's success story, be it the IMF ranking Canada in the best position, the success story of our banks. It's important that Americans and people throughout the world know that Canada has successes, and as we try to communicate that, maybe some of the other countries across the world can replicate that.
All right, well, we'll continue to watch the convention. Dimitri Soudas, a spokesperson for the Prime Minister, joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.